Good morning, friends. Welcome back to another video. Today, I am going to be taking part in the crochet tag, which is very reminiscent of like millennial Myspace energy, and I'm really excited to do it. It was started by the Faded Wildflower and no one tagged me, but I'm gonna do it anyway, and I'm gonna tag some people to join me at the end. So the vibe is we're answering 10 questions like all those older Myspace things that you used to get that were like, tag, you're it, answer all these questions. We're gonna do it and it's gonna be about crochet. So grab a project, grab a hot coffee or tea or hot chocolate or whatever you wanna drink, and let's jump into it. While we talk, I am going to be working on my granny stitch blanket again. I think in the last video I was working on this as well, and I do promise that there are other crochet videos coming. I'm in the middle of filming like 3, so they will come, but in the interest of getting a video out this week and not leaving you hanging for 2 weeks straight, I wanted to do this little kind of crochet and chat tag. So let's jump into it with question 1. How did you learn to crochet? That one I think I have covered before in another video of mine, but I learned off YouTube. I'm pretty sure I originally was learning to knit, and I did that in my final year of school just as like a way to get away from my desk from study and things like that and calm my anxious little brain. And then from that, I started making a granny square blanket, which is like the worst project for a beginner because, as with many people who start by making a granny square blanket, I burnt myself out and then I didn't touch crochet for like 2 years until COVID hit. And then I picked it back up during the COVID period. I finished that blanket and I actually started streaming on Twitch in the makers and crafting space, and I was streaming cross stitch, and I saw all of these really cool crochet creators there, and it made me want to pick my hook back up. So that's what I did. I kind of retaught myself how to crochet through things like YouTube, especially Bella Coco. Huge shout out to Bella Coco's channel. And yeah, that's kind of where I started making amigurumi. Before that, the only thing I'd done was many granny squares. So that is where and why I learned to crochet. Question 2, what is my favorite thing to crochet? This one is really hard. I really get a lot of joy out of different kinds of crochet, and I like swapping between things. I think that keeps things kind of fresh and interesting for me. I have definitely made the most amigurumi at this stage, I guess because they're like small and they're quick, and when I started doing markets, I wanted to make things for that, and amigurumi makes the most sense for that. I had also met and befriended a bunch of people who were in the amigurumi space, people like Zach from Crochet Me Zaddy, Adele from Crow with the Flow, Drew from Droopy Zoo. I then kind of started making a lot of amigurumi. I don't know that at this stage it's actually my favorite thing to crochet, but because they are such cute little things, I do still really enjoy making them. But it's hard to pick a favorite actually. I definitely really want to make more wearables, more tapestries and things like that, but I just haven't really had the chance because I've had a few markets on this year. So I am going to try and move more into that space. I think especially doing the cat market this month has burnt me out a little bit on amigurumi and things. I don't have a good answer for what my favorite thing is to crochet, but there you go. History states that amigurumi is my favorite because I've definitely made a lot of it. The next question is, if I could only use one yarn for the rest of my life, what would it be? Ooh, that is a hard one. It's also literally the first thing in the morning. I have a coffee next to me. I have not pre-read these questions. I did watch Faded Wildflower and Viney Maple. I watched both of their videos doing this crochet tag, so I have like heard the questions before, but I would say for what kind of yarn, I think even though I just said that I make a lot of amigurumi, which is true, I wouldn't go with like a blanket or a chenille yarn because they're just not as versatile. I think I would probably go with like a cotton acrylic blend so that there's a bit of natural fiber, a little bit of strength, a little bit of softness from the acrylic. I think I would do that. Either a pure acrylic, no, not pure acrylic, sorry. Either a pure cotton or a cotton acrylic blend is probably what I would lean towards. No, cotton acrylic blend. Lock it in. Lock it in, Eddie. I want a cotton acrylic blend because I think it would be good for wearables. It would also work for tapestry crochet. would also work for like accessories around your home. And you could definitely make amigurumi out of it. It wouldn't be my favorite way to make amigurumi, but you could do it. You could do it. So I think that's what I would use. And obviously if I had to choose a very specific one, I would use Bango's blend because I genuinely really love it. That's why I have it in my shop. The next question is the weirdest thing you've ever made. I don't make anything weird. That's not true. I don't know what the weirdest thing I've ever made is, to be honest. I haven't ever made anything like wacky for a YouTube video or anything like that. I would say maybe there was a pattern test that I did for Drew at Dribby Zoo, and it's like an eye that has a casing around it, and then it's got bat wings and 4 little legs. And like, I think it's really cute, but it is a little weird, you know? It's like not really a thing. It's not like I crocheted an animal or anything like that. It's just a weird little guy. I use weird in like a positive way in that regard though, you know? But yeah, I don't think I've crocheted anything weird enough to to warrant including in this question. Sorry, it's a bit of a boring answer. The next question is something you will never crochet. I think my answer to this straight up has to be like a crochet bikini or crochet swimwear. I don't think I would ever make that. Never say never, especially in like a public setting. But I can't see myself ever crocheting swimwear for myself to actually use, like functional swimwear. I don't see myself crocheting it at all, let alone for functional use, but who knows? Like, if someone in my life wanted some, then maybe I would make it for them. I don't know. That I think is probably like really up there though. I can't think of something else that I would like say I would never ever crochet. Maybe like a king size blanket. I don't know. I'm gonna go with swimwear, honestly. If you've made functional crochet swimwear and you like it and you wear it often, please let me know. I wanna know if those people exist. Okay, next question. Where do you get your inspiration? This is kind of easy, like online. I mean, really, I am part of a crochet community that is very inspiring to be part of. I think people make really cool stuff. People think of new to me techniques that they use in their patterns, and all of that comes together into like a very fun, inspiring place to draw from. I think I've got very cool and talented friends. I love looking through like crochet books in the library just to see if there's anything kind of cool and funky and different that isn't in the online space, because I know that that can kind of become a bit of an echo chamber and you will end up seeing kind of the same things that you engage with there. Or supposedly you're meant to. That's how algorithms are supposed to work. I do like looking in kind of crochet magazines and crochet books as well. But I would say the vast, vast, vast majority of my inspiration comes from online, whether that's other YouTube creators or people that I see on Instagram or TikTok, or even like scrolling through Pinterest on the occasion that I do that. That can be a really cool way to kind of see other crafts and what people in other spaces are doing and how we can bring it into crochet. So yeah, I think genuinely anywhere I can find inspiration, I will. The next question is the favorite thing I've made so far this year. And that I think is actually quite a hard question. First of all, because I have a very bad memory and like, what have I even made this year? You know, I think I finished working on my cat tapestry this year and I really love that. I haven't yet hung it up. It just hangs on the door of my study. I think I really enjoyed making that. Let me have a quick look at my spreadsheet of things that I've made this year and tell you if I have something else. Okay, so Bango's arrived, of course. And surprising, absolutely nobody. I've made a whole lot of cat stuff this year, but I made my blob bunny this year, which I completely forgot about. Like, how did I forget about that? And I do really genuinely love my blob bunny pattern. I think I'm really proud of the actual pattern as well. And the toy itself is also super cute. So that has definitely got to be up there as one of the favorite things I've made this year. Another one of the patterns that I think is really cool that I made this year was Ninu the Bilby, which is by Crochet by Ree. That was her first pattern and it's incredible. I just really loved making it. It's a really, really cute animal, and like you don't see many patterns for them anywhere because they are a cute little Australian animal that a lot of people I think don't actually know about. So those are going to be my top three, I guess. My tapestry, Ninu the Bilby, and my little blob bunny. Now let me try. How can I get him off I can't get him off my lap. The next question that Bengo wants to ask us is crochet plans we're excited about for the future. All he is excited about is getting these pads. He's still on my lap, so we're not going to crochet for this question. Crochet plans I'm excited about for the future. So many, honestly. Again, if this isn't your first video that you've seen of mine, you'll probably know that I have been preparing for a cat market, and so this month has been a lot of making cats, which I have really enjoyed, to be honest. Like, it's been kind of nice. I thought I would get really bored of it, but it's actually been kind of nice to have like a reason to sit down and crochet every single day for like at least an hour, because I have things that I need to make for this market. It's also been nice to not really have to get overwhelmed with a whole load of options of what I could crochet, because I kind of need to make cats. But all of that said, I am really excited to be working on some other things after this month is over. I have a few patterns that I really want to work on. I really want to make a Colosseum crop from Ed's Fart. I'm super excited to make that pattern. I've had it for a long time, I think, and I just want to get it made, especially now that I have a bunch of like cotton that I recently bought. So want to get one of those made. I want to finish off my granny stitch vest from Realm Designs, which is like so close. I just have the ribbing to go. I want to make a granny hexagon cardigan for myself. I have only ever made a shirt for myself, and I've made a cardigan for other people, but never for myself. So I want to make one of those. They're all my kind of like immediate crochet plans that I want to do. I also really want to take a leaf out of Killian from Viney Maple's book and make a kind of scrappy project. I'm not sure what that's going to be yet. I need to look at the kinds of scrap yarn that I have left, but if you have any suggestions, please leave them below as to a pattern that would be good for like a kind of roll for scrap type of project. I would love to do one of those here. I have a lot of my Moo Moo's Milk cotton scraps, which I think would be good for a beanie. So we could make that and start kind of small with one of those projects. I also have a lot of kind of ends of blanket yarn, but they're not as colorful, but I do need to use them up. So we could also make like, I don't know, something amigurumi with those, or with the Patty's Plush scraps that I have, we could also do something else amigurumi. So if you have suggestions for those, please drop them below. I would love to hear them. Those are, I don't really have any really big crochet plans, to be honest. I think I have like plans for this channel and smaller crochet plans and things that I'm excited about making, but nothing huge, nothing major. Just happy to be here, guys. Just happy to be here. All right, we're on to the final stretch of questions. This one is the worst thing about crochet. And that's really hard, to be honest. Like, I could say something like weaving in my ends or sewing pieces together, but I don't know. Like, all of those things are what make the thing at the end of the day. So they're not the worst things about crochet, really, are they? I think maybe the worst thing about crochet is that I can't crochet every single thing that I want at any time. I would love to be able to do that, but I can't. I think really one of the main things that I don't like about crochet isn't really even that much to do with the act of crochet itself. It is like just all of the drama that happens in the crochet community, and like, for what reason? I don't know. People always bringing up things that realistically are like not hurting anyone. I don't know. All of a sudden everyone's like complaining online about it who is in the crochet community, and I just like don't really go in for that. I think it just let people live, you know what I mean? If it's not hurting other people, let them use what yarn they want, let them run their testicles how they want, like, you know, that kind of stuff. I don't like it. From an actual crochet perspective, I think the thing that I do dislike the most is having to like sew things together. And that is also a thing that gets a bit of hate online, is like, oh, no sew patterns or whatever are like less skilled. I highly disagree with that. I think writing a no-sew pattern is a lot harder, but it's not like I will do it. I will sew things together and that's totally fine. It's more just that when I like finish all the pieces of the puzzle, I'm like, oh, now I still have to put it all together. Like, I still have more to do, but I've finished the fun bit. I finished the crocheting bit, which is the bit I enjoy. So that is why I love things that don't have like heaps of pieces to sew together, even like making clothes and things like that, you know what I mean? Like I like it when they're, I don't know, even like slip stitched together or whatever instead of having to actually sew things. So that's my personal thing that I dislike the most about crochet. And then my favorite thing about crochet, and obviously that is just like the fact that I can be creative and make things and do things with my hands. And I love the fact that I can spend, you know, anywhere between 20 minutes to a few hours on something, and at the end I have like an end result. I've had so many hobbies in the past where that's not the case. And not to say that those hobbies are bad, like reading, for example, like I love reading, but I would spend a few hours reading and then like you close the book and you're like, all right, I've read that book. You know, I don't know if that makes sense, but just the fact that having a hobby that at the end of it, I have like a physical item that I can gift to friends or like sell or just have in my home or use myself, like that is really cool to me and I really love it. My dad is a builder and I think for my whole childhood, he has like made stuff for us that obviously at the end of it, we have a cool new thing that we can use or that is functional. And I always was like very, not envious of that, but I thought it was really, really cool. And I love that I found something that I enjoy as much as he enjoys building and that I get something at the end of it. So that is my favorite thing about crochet. Now, those are the last of the questions, but Rachel at the Faded Wildflower Crochet also was like, if you are a crochet content creator, you can also answer your least favorite and most favorite things about being a crochet content creator. So I'm going to do that as well. So the worst thing about crochet content creation, honestly, it's really hard. I think for me, the worst thing about it is just having to fit it in around work. I think it takes a lot of time to do, and especially making like YouTube videos, which to be honest, I think Benga's just typing on the laptop. Honestly, like it does take a lot of time for YouTube. I love doing it though. I kind of don't like doing it as much for reels and things like that because I feel like those you really have to pump out, you know? You need like 3 of them a week. So I think that is the worst thing about it for me, is having to try and fit it in around like having a full-time job that I need to do 35 to 40 hours a week. But I really enjoy it. And I love building a community around it. Also, oh no, actually, you know what? I'm going to retake this question. The worst thing about crochet content creation for me personally is comparison. I really struggle with it. And I can admit that I think everyone falls into that trap at some point, you know what I mean? And I know that in my rational brain, in the logical part of my brain, I know that you can't, like you can't compare, otherwise you'll just like, you're never going to be the best at something. You're never going to be the most successful at something. It's not even, for me, it's not even about being the best or the most successful. I just like love finding a community in this space. And obviously when your social media grows, your community also grows, which I think is a really cool thing about being a creator in this space. But it's also really hard, I guess, or like it's hard to just pull yourself out of comparison mode and not feel like I'm doing something wrong if I'm not growing as quickly or getting as many views or whatever as other people are who seem to be doing similar things and who seem to be at a similar level to me, if that makes any sense. And I am genuinely someone who I think a rising tide lifts all boats, you know, like any other people getting success and things like that is only good for other people in this area. So I genuinely love seeing people succeed, but then also there is that little voice that's like, wow, if other people can do it, you must kind of suck if it's not happening for you, which I know is silly. So don't like, this is not like a poor me. This is just the part of crochet content creation that I struggle with the most, is feeling like I'm not good enough. And I think we've all felt that before. I think that's a pretty normal feeling to have. And I don't like it because I want to purely have the level of being really happy and excited for everyone who is finding great success in this area and building these amazing communities without the layer of being like, that must mean I'm doing something wrong. You know, that is the worst part for me. Okay, now I get to talk about my favorite thing about being a crochet content creator. As you may have guessed from previous answers, it is absolutely just the community that I find in these spaces. Without being a crochet content creator, I would not have met some of my really genuinely good friends now. And that would be really sad because they're people who I get on really well with. And, you know, we live in different cities or we live in very different areas of Sydney and genuinely would never have met if it wasn't for this community and for making crochet content and putting our silly little makes on the internet. So I'm really, really grateful for that. And all of you guys, like, I don't know, it's really nice having people jump in my comments, tell me what they're making, give their opinions on stuff that I'm making when it's respectful, of course. And I think that building this little community we've built is pretty amazing. Bango also loves having an additional audience. So that's his favorite thing, is that more and more people know who he is. That is it from me for this crochet content creator tag. I didn't do a whole lot of this, to be honest, because Bango sat on it and then I was just yapping. So we didn't get that much done, but I do only have this much left on my bowl before I add another one. So that's pretty good. I would love to hear your answers to these questions, whether or not you make it in a video. Please just jump in the comments. I will put all the questions in my description, and any and all that you want to answer, I would love to hear from you and see if we have anything in common. I would love to hear about the weirdest things you've crocheted, because that was, I think, the hardest question for me. And I am going to tag a few people to do this challenge. I'm going to tag my good friends Crochet by Ree. I'm going to tag the girl who knots, Kayla. I'm also going to tag Crochet with Kelsey, who, again, I love watching her videos. If you have not checked her out, please jump over to her channel. It is so much fun. I love watching her, and she is still growing here on YouTube. So any and all support you can give these growing crochet creators who put a lot of effort into their videos, please go and do so. And the last person I'm going to tag is someone I literally discovered yesterday, and I watched a few of their videos and absolutely love them, and it is Bubble Cat Crochet. She's a UK creator. So again, if you haven't heard of them or watched their videos, jump over there, take a look, and I will put all of them in the description below so that you can go and check out these crochet content creators that I have tagged. And like I said, I would love to hear from you as well. Put your answers in the comments, and I will see you in the next video. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. Thank you for watching me yap about my crochet life. And I will be back probably next week with a lot more actual crochet vlog style, going back to that. So if you've been missing that, don't worry, it is on the horizon. And thank you for sticking out these couple of little more chatty videos. So love you guys, and see you in the next video. Bye!